Hey, welcome to match number 3 of this Affinity Mirror Match series. This hand is not keepable. It does have 2 mana on turn 2 and can play plating, but with only an Edge Champion as a payoff, it's just far too slow and clunky. This is better. It's not great, but it's definitely in the range of keepable hands. Mox Opal makes it nice. So if you think back to the end of the last match, my opponent was cognizant of the double Ink Moth kill. I'm going to need to kill that. And so that's why they conceded. However, on the turn where he played Cranial Plating, there was an opening for him to cast Master of Ethereum, and then on the following turn he would have been able to cast Cranial Plating and bluff the Galvanic Blast, and then I'd be much more likely to not all in out of fear of losing to that to the Galvanic Blast. So it's possible with different sequencing that game could have turned out one way, although I definitely had the advantage. Here I just have to kill the Steel Overseer. I do like my board quite a bit compared to his for having Mulligan, but I think that's just a consequence of me having a Mox Opal and him not. The double Ink Moth, double Pest means that I'm going to be able to put an extremely threatening board down very quickly. Although it looks like he might have a Galvanic Blast. Yeah, he's thinking about blasting my Ravager. There's something to be said for holding that drum in my hand to try to bluff something, but I'd rather have the option of having more mana for one reason or another. Especially since I'm fairly incentivized right now to have the attack with both Ink Moth Nexuses. Now, if I draw a blast, the next blast probably just gets aimed at whatever flying blocker he has to try to clear the way for me to get an infect kill. So the best things for me to see are anything that's not a flyer. As long as he doesn't have the capability of really blocking too much of my Ink Moths, I'll be in decent shape. play the Signal Pest, animate both Nexi, get in for 3 poison, get in for 4 poison the next turn. He's forced to block with the Blink Moth and have it trade off. Alright, I'm okay with that. I certainly don't want to sit around here stalling against the Steel Overseer, so... He also doesn't really have the option of sniping off this Signal Pest with the 2/2 Blink Moth, and the Blink Moth does die. He doesn't have the option of sniping this off because he goes to 8 poison against 2 Ink Moths, and that's just not a good idea. Let's see, I guess, if he has another flyer in hand. It could work out, but I don't think he needs to take that risk. So here, if he doesn't draw another flyer, he's in deep trouble. I don't have lethal, though. Ravager. Alright. He might have to just race. Okay. So I can't get him with lethal. Does my Signal Pest blocking the Ravager matter? Yes, it does. Alright, so I'm going to hold up an Opal, or hold up red to threaten a Galvanic Blast. As largely irrelevant as it's likely to be. Plan on having the Signal Pest chump the Ravager, and then get him for this damage here, and hope he doesn't have a flying creature on the next turn. 3, 8, Moth. Yeah, him drawing the blocker really does it. Also the Arcbound Ravager. I think I'm just dead here. So I'm dead if he all-ins on something, so he probably sacrifices. I suppose that is a more risky line, and he doesn't does he have an incentive to take a risky line? Not really. What should he do here? So if he thinks I have Galvanic Blast, what's the correct play? I think if he thinks I have Galvanic Blast, the correct play is to just let this combat happen. There's no reason to all-in. So if he thinks I have Galvanic Blast, there's no reason to make a play. Is that true? Can he for sure kill me through Galvanic Blast? I don't think so. Interesting. So his assumption is that the odds I have Galvanic Blast are low, and so going for the kill is plus EV. So I do agree with this line of logic, but I do think the question that you have to consider is not just the odds of me having a Galvanic Blast, but whether or not you can beat a Galvanic Blast if I have it. I think you could. So I apologize for typing being slower than talking, but hopefully these text conversations provide some context. Maybe not context the right word, but yeah, maybe it wasn't a particularly well constructed sentence. I will keep this hand, and Thoughtseize seems pretty good here. Gonna Thoughtseize turn 1 and not play the Signal Pest. Well, is there a better way I can word this sentence? There. He gets it. He gets it. So what I was saying to him, and I can't actually remember if I said it on the video, is that the only way I beat him if he allows the thing to resolve, if he just doesn't go all in, is if I have 2 Galvanic Blasts. For me to have 2 Galvanic Blasts, holy shit, this hand is greedy. Mulliganed and Scryed bottom. Alright, well I'm gonna take the Overseer and yeah. Sorry, not greedy. It was a bad hand because he mulliganed. Now if he draws an Opal, he's in decent shape. Scourge? Okay. Anyways, hopefully my point about the last game made sense. Pest? Do I want to go Pest or Ravager? I think I want to go... Pest. Ravager. Just be more mana efficient. This is definitely one of the one-sided games. Yep, time to run it back. Ooh. You know, this is not a typical hand that I like keeping, but I will certainly keep the Galvanic Blast and Ancient Grudge hand. It's quite bad against certain types of hands you can have. Ones that have Gear per Aether Grid, for one. But it's also quite good against a lot of other hands. He also mulliganed 6. So that's important. This looks like a grid. Or an Overseer. Alright. Let's barbecue that. He's thinking about it. Is this a Spell Pierce moment? Certainly, I think you Spell Pierce it if you have Spell Pierce available. So, I realized typing is not as enjoyable as the spoken word, but hopefully you can read that and have me be repeating myself. Alright, that's... You know, maybe I should have destroyed the... drum. This is interesting. Do I play my own grid? I think the correct play is because he has a grid, I want to keep this Ornithopter alive. I'm going to kill both of these things. And try to prevent him from being able to kill my Ornithopter this turn. At which point I can play an double equip plating and bash for a lot of damage. It's possible that I should have Ancient Grudged his drum the previous turn as opposed to... playing out the cranial plating. Cranial plating is down. So I get in a big hit this turn, and then he needs to draw a way to get rid of this Ornithopter before next turn, because next turn if he can't deal with the Ornithopter, he's pretty dead. So he needs a 1 mana artifact of some sort, or 0 mana artifact. And then he needs to hold up both of them for... How much do I think about... To Ravager or not to Ravager? That is the question. I don't hate the line of... So, the thing I'm thinking about is what possible removal he could have. I know he has 1 ping from these things. If he has just that and no blast, but if he has a grudge... Alright, I'm going to take this line. I'm going to play the Ravager, and then I'm going to animate the Blankmoth Nexus. If he just shoots the Ravager immediately, then he's not shooting the Nexus. If he doesn't shoot the Ravager immediately, then if he shoots the Nexus, I can sacrifice the Ravager to make the Nexus bigger, or I can eat the Nexus to the Ravager and have the Ravager be alive. Now, he's Galvanic Blasting the Ornithopter. Okay, so now what I want to do is I equip this to the Ravager. When he shoots the Ravager with the grid, I'll eat the Nexus. And then if he plays and shoots it. So now I animate and eat the Nexus. And if he plays another artifact next turn and shoots the Ravager again, then I eat a plating. Certainly not my favorite situation to be in. Oh, is this a grudge? Ooh, God. Alright, now he's pretty ahead. Well, both of us are just destroying everything that the other person has. So, there's that. I think really I just want to draw non-creature artifacts at this point onwards, like Darksteel Citadels and Mox Opals. Even Springleaf Drum would be okay, although obviously it's not the best. If he grudges a plating, I'm going to just let it resolve, since I think having the welding jar keep the ability to keep a creature alive at some point in time is probably going to be more valuable than having a cranial plating, since I already have one plating and it's very, very unlikely that I get a creature to live and connect with multiple platings at this point in time, because he has a grid and because he has an ancient grudge in his graveyard. So my goal right now is to draw more non-creature artifacts that don't die to grid, and then continually race him with the Gear Aether Grids until my Galvanic Blast wins the race. Oh, that's clever. Yeah, I do think that's a good play from his part. Yep, I agree. And adding on to this, he wants to destroy a jar so that I have less non-creature artifacts to ping him with the Gear Aether Grid. Fortunately, he doesn't have the option of animating the Blinkmoth Nexus to get extra pings in, because the threat of me just killing the Blinkmoth Nexus in exchange is too high. Now, he could do it in response to me pinging here, which is actually a pretty good play if he thinks of it and doesn't want to hold up mana to do something else. However, for the purpose of the race, it's still much more beneficial for me to hold Galvanic Blast in my hand as opposed to trying to Galvanic Blast the Blinkmoth Nexus right here. And I'm being extremely lucky to draw all of these non-creature artifacts right now. Because this means that I'm winning the grid race rather handily now, since I'm at such a high life total and we're both at the same number of pings. And he's taking the same line again, which is expected. Does that actually matter, though? It means he gets to hold up Mox Opals for something. I don't want to play Ravager here. It just dies and doesn't do anything. I just want to grind him out with a grid. Must be so exciting. I don't know. This seems like an interesting version of the mirror match. You don't often see the... I think I win here. Unless he's playing Spell Pierce. No, not Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce doesn't do it. Well, that was a close match. Alright, see you for the next one.